Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. The Doctor is in, and we are back with more Umineko no Naku Koromi, or Umineko When They Cry, Banquet of the Golden Witch. We are getting close to the end game here. Once we finish up with that, once we finish up with the end game, gonna be taking a brief break as I attempt to stream something else, I think. Hold on. I need to figure out... Give me just a moment, because there's like so many weeks left this year. So, let's see. Wednesday we got... 3. Probably 2. 5, 6, 7... 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Well, I mean, if I jump straight into episode 4, I might actually be able to finish the question arcs before the end of the year. We'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. Anyway. So. Oh. Gotta hydrate here for a second. Apologies for my tardiness. I was attempting to write the going live message that I posted, and it just took me a bit longer than usual. So. One more thing I gotta do real quick before we start. All right. Let us. Oh, let me check the sound alerts. Gotta make sure it's working here. Perfect. All right. We can begin. So we are on. I don't know what chapter this one is. The Witch's Courtroom, basically. I don't remember what number the chapter was, though. Dad! Mom! Who would do something like this? Jessica's woeful voice echoed throughout the rose garden. Perhaps it was the intuition of a person who lived on this island. After checking the part of the rose garden where... Oh. Sorry. Didn't realize he was narrating. Let me back up. Let's see. Jessica's woeful voice echoed throughout the rose garden. Perhaps it was the intuition of a person who lived on this island. After checking the part of the rose garden where Aunt Rosa and Maria had fallen and seeing nothing, Jessica went to look in the arbor next. Normally, the arbor was probably a wonderful location to enjoy tea peacefully while appreciating the roses on the good sunny day. Maybe even Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi had days when they relaxed and enjoyed their tea together here. In that arbor lay their corpses. At least they aren't drenched in the rain like Aunt Rosa and Maria had been. But there was no way I could say that out loud to Jessica at the moment. What do you think, Dr. Nanjo?
Strangulation, I believe. Come, take a look at this. On their necks, there are distinct markings that something thin was used to strangle.
Right. I doubt those things were the primary cause for their deaths. Right there, only two stake-like weapons decorated with an occult design, which had been found driven into Uncle Krause's thigh area and near Aunt Natsuhi's calf. When we found these sticking out of my parents' forehead and chest, we decided to preserve the crime scene and leave them for the police. But Jessica didn't care about such matters and immediately pulled the stakes out of her parents' forsaken bodies. By now, bodies gouged in the head, chest, stomach, knee, and leg have been found. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Kill that murderer! Kill him! Oh, we're having to use the disclaimer early, lovely. Alright. Nope. I gotta spell it right. There we go. Okay. Now, what is this? Chat highlight settings. That's kind of a neat thing. Let me turn those on. Okay, cool. Alright, sorry. Let us continue here. Oh, wait, wrong thing. With this, the 8th twilight has been completed. Is this going to continue on to the 9th twilight? The witch shall be revived and none shall be left alive. Bring it on. The witch revives. That means the culprit's gonna make his grand appearance, right? No one's gonna be left alive? Bullshit! I'll kill him! I'll definitely kill the culprit who killed Dad and Mom with my own hands! Jessica let her emotions flow out as she howled furiously. To avoid being crushed by grief, she could do nothing but resist it with anger. We still haven't found George. Jessica, you children had better stay here. I'll go into the mansion.
Ava-san, we mustn't split up. It's dangerous if we do not all stick together.
There's nothing we can do for Nii-san or his wife. But George may still be alive somewhere. I have no time to waste here. As Aunt Ava screamed this, Jessica glared at her. Ava had no more time to bother about the dead. She was more concerned for the safety of her only son who had yet to be seen. Jessica-chan, you should stay by your father and mother's side. I'll make a short trip to the mansion. Battler-kun and Dr. Nanjo, you two can stay here as well. After arbitrarily saying this, Aunt Ava rushed out of the arbor. I called out to stop her, but there was no way she would listen. However, being alone in this situation meant nothing short of death. If we silently watched her leave, it would be the same thing as letting her die. Since Aunt Ava was unwilling to stop, we had no choice but to follow her. And while it may be cruel to say so, Uncle Krause and Aunt Natsuhi were already dead. So there was nothing more we could do for them. In the end, we had no choice but to console Jessica and head for the mansion together. Fortunately, Jessica stood up. Perhaps she had been able to break free from her grief. But what had surfaced in its place was an expression like a demon's. I'll kill that person with my own hands. I'll definitely avenge them. Let's go, Battler. If we find the culprit, don't get in my way. I'm definitely gonna kill them. I've got my own parents to avenge. Sorry, but this is first come, first serve. Yeah, that's right. Let's kill him! At my words, Jessica finally seemed to feel like we sympathized with her emotions. She still had that dark expression, but I felt that Jessica had regained some of her sanity. We took off, chasing after Aunt Ava. Through the rose garden, up the stone steps, running at full speed towards the mansion, whose large, intimidating shadow flashed in the lightning. With this, the murders of the epitaph had reached the 8th twilight. And then, on the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive. None shall be left alive. I will most likely lose my life. But at the very least, I'm going to burn the truth into my eyes. That's the only thing motivating me to move right now. We were able to meet up with Aunt Ava, who was having trouble with the lock to the front door. It seemed that all the blood had risen to Aunt Ava's head. It was probably making her fingers clumsy. It looked like she couldn't even handle the simple task of inserting the key into the lock. Then there was a faint sound, the sound of the door unlocking. Oh, sorry, I got distracted and I forgot what I was doing there for a second. Just as though it had waited for all the survivors to unite before opening. It felt to me as though the malicious mansion was trying to swallow up the remaining swallow up all the remaining humans at once. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, let me turn that off then. Alright. There we go, fixed. Perhaps a stench that erupted outwards the instant the door opened couldn't be described as just a smell. It wasn't just the charred smell from Grandfather. I think it may have also contained the regrets of the servants and Dad's group. All of the dead. What did it mean as it floated out, overwhelming us? Well, it means there's a lot of dead bodies in there. Was it the cry of the dead telling us not to enter? Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. However, Aunt Ava didn't even flinch at something like that. And we, who had to chase after her, were forced to step into the mansion even after receiving that message. George? George? If you can hear me, answer! George! Aunt Ava shouted at the top of her lungs. Considering the situation, it's probably far too optimistic to imagine that he's alive. When we started following Aunt Ava's example and calling out George's name in loud voices, Aunt Ava spotted something and stopped walking. She was standing in front of the door to the parlor. Is this... Dr. Najo, could you come here for a second?
What is it?
I heard about the eerie magic circles written on the doors like the one in the parlor from the adults. Eerie is the only word to describe that thing, which was scribbled with a deep red paint reminiscent of blood so that it slowly dripped down. There we go. However, that had supposedly been there since this morning. Wondering why Aunt Ava, who had supposedly seen it already, would think it odd now Jessica and I stared at the door.
Certainly, I have no memory of numbers such as these being written here.
Right, they weren't. Eerie magical characters were written here, but not numbers. From what the two of them said, only the magic circle had been there this morning. However, right now, there were 8 digits written near the upper part of the magic circle. Zero 7 1 5 1 1 2 9. I didn't know what it meant. But I didn't even want to imagine what someone had been thinking when they wrote it. It was drawn with the same paint as the magic circle, but it had clearly been written very recently. The way it had dried and the condition of the collar was completely different from the magic circle part. I'm sure it just has some magical meaning. No point wasting time thinking about it. Jessica intentionally spat those words out in an attempt to push aside the eerie feel it gave off.
It could be a magic square. The idea that a ward against magic can reside in a certain sort of number play. I believe everyone has heard of the one where adding all the numbers in each row leads to the same sum.
Wasn't that group of numbers buried in a rectangle? This is just a single row. I don't have a clue what it could mean. What Jessica-chan said is probably correct. There isn't any point in us wasting time thinking about it. Yeah, even though she said that, she probably suspected that it actually meant something. Aunt Ava was deftly writing that number down on an old receipt or something with a short ballpoint pen. Unless it had some obvious pattern, it'd probably be tough to memorize a code made up of an 8-digit number. Couldn't this be a date or something? A date? What are you talking about? Well, it's probably a coincidence, but my birthday is July 15th. Once I thought that 07-15 might refer to July 15th. I figured that if 11/29 stood for November 29th, maybe that'd fit perfectly. Why would your birthday be written in a place like this? And what's with November 29th? That's what I want to know. Still, it's probably just a coincidence. Just when I thought about it, it started to feel a little creepy. What if someone's birthday was November 29th? That's not the birthday of anyone else in my family, not Dad or Kirie-san or Ange, even. And, of course, it isn't my mom's either.
Nothing comes to mind. I don't believe it's Kinzo-san or Genji-san's birthday.
It isn't from my family either. And it isn't Rosa's or Maria-chan's. It can't be anyone in my family. And it isn't Canon-kun's or Shannon's. I always give the servants presents on their birthdays, so I know it for all of them. I don't know anyone who was born on November 29th. Once we started imagining that the 8 digits weren't meaningless, but actually 2 dates written together, it really started to look that way. However, its true meaning may be something completely different, or there may be no meaning at all. Anyway, since we don't have any real clues, it's probably pointless to stand here worrying about it. The inside of the parlor is much more important. This morning, behind each of the doors with a magic circle drawn on them had been the body of a victim. So, if something new has been added to this door, does that mean something new has been added inside the parlor? When Aunt Ava tried to open it, she felt the resistance of the lock. She immediately took out a master key and put it in the keyhole. As soon as she opened the door, Aunt Ava let out a high-pitched scream and ran inside. That alone was enough to tell us what had happened inside the room. Dr. Nanjo and I looked at each other, and I shook my head slightly as we entered the parlor. George! George! Hang in there! George! Dr. Nanjo, quickly! George Hanaki lay there crumpled alongside Shannon-chan's corpse. His chest was stained bright red, and judging by his still opened eyes, I'd hate to say it to Aunt Ava, but I couldn't pick up any signs of life. We got obituaries, guys. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Usha Romeo George. Corpse discovered in the mansion's parlor. The murder weapon is assumed to be a gun or a spear-shaped object. In exchange for his soul, the witch granted an 8-digit number. 07151129. When spoken, a small golden land will be opened. After moving to take George's pulse, Dr. Nandra shook his head, wordlessly reporting that George was dead. Brushing him aside, Aunt Ava once again crouched beside George Aniki and started crying at the top of her lungs. With Aniki's death, one thing is certain. The murders hadn't ended on the 8th twilight. The epitaph was being carried out in its complete form, including the 9th twilight, and none shall be left alive. I was really starting to lose track of things. For some reason, Aunt Ava's half-crazed cries actually made me cool down. Crestfallen and exhausted, I flopped onto the sofa and plunked my feet on top of the table. Maybe all these murders numbed my heart. Instead of just feeling frightened, I felt completely confused. Dad and Kirie-san are dead, and people have been killed off one by one, starting with the servants. And there's been a hell of a lot of them by now. I don't know when the first murder happened, but they might have been killed at a rate about 1 person per hour by now. We believe that the boat will come for us around 9 tomorrow. There's still a full 12 hours until then. How many more sacrifices to the witch will there have to be for us to survive? With the 4 of us, if one goes each hour, it won't last any longer than 4 hours. We don't even know if we'll last until midnight tonight. Yesterday, after lunch, we came into this parlor. Just as they started talking about serving some tea Aunt Rosa had brought, we kids decided to take a walk. Maria was jumping around, wasn't she? Didn't Shannon-chan bring us some cookies? She said Kumasawa-san had baked them or something. It would have been hilarious if she baked some mackerel into them, wouldn't it? That's right. I'll never hear Kumasawa-ba-chan's mackerel jokes again, will I? Oh, right. If I only remember stuff about Kumasawa-ba-chan, that wouldn't be fair to everyone else. Why did Dad and Kirie-san even go outside? It's not like going without food for a day would kill us. So why did Gluttony get a hold of them to make them go out for food? Bet that fearless dad of mine just started complaining about being hungry. Kirie-san, you were supposed to be the brakes for my Oh. Sorry. I thought he was imitating his dad. Kirie-san, you were supposed to be the brakes for my reckless dad. Why didn't you stop him? And what about your daughter, Ange? She's still just 6 years old. Don't tell me you plan to leave her in my care. After all, it's doubtful now whether they'll even be able to leave this island alive.
So stop! Why are you fighting at a time like this? Jessica-san, stop!
It's been kind of noisy for a while. By the time I looked up to see what it was, Aunt Jessica and Ava had suddenly started fighting each other. But now, maybe I should say that Jessica was grabbing at Aunt Ava. Aunt Ava killed Dad and the rest! There's no other explanation! How foolish! Why should I know anything about what happened to your parents? Who's on the first floor of the guest house? Aunt Ava! Dad and Mom were in the first floor lobby along with her! And who was left alive? Only Aunt Ava! Why? It's obviously because you're the culprit! You killed Mom and Dad, carried them outside, and then shamelessly locked the door, trying to make it seem like it was the witch's doing. Then why did George go missing? He never came down to the first floor. So when did he disappear from the second floor? So did he disappear from the second floor? And who was on the second floor? You people were right. You knew, didn't you? You knew that George slipped out of the guest house, and you brazenly acted as if you didn't know anything. If you stopped George and me, he'd be...
I said stop! Jessica-san was in the cousin's room the whole time. And Ava-san was in the first floor lobby the whole time. Neither of you was responsible for anything. What we have here is simply the sadness of losing family members. The culprit is no one. Nowhere. It's all just the witch's fault. So stop hating each other, you two.
The witch's fault, huh? I wonder if that's a good way to cool down the situation right now. Yeah, I finally understand why 3 people evaporated from the guest house when all the doors and windows were locked from the inside. This is what they were after. Making us think the culprit was inside and sparking this ugly mutual hatred. It has to be the culprit's, the witch's goal. But if that's the case, how did the culprit lock it from the outside? When Dad's group was attacked, their master key was definitely stolen. But the doors and windows to the guest house were built so that you couldn't lock them from the outside, no matter how hard you tried. So that master key should have had nothing to do with the guest house closed room. Interesting. Jessica and Aunt Ava were turning their sadness at losing their blood relatives into anger at the person in front of them. Dr. Nanjo was trying to step between them, and I sat in the sofa staring up at the ceiling, thinking about things that didn't even matter anymore with a worn-out expression. I just couldn't believe that this was the same parlor that had been so warm and pleasant midday yesterday, for just a short time before the typhoon hit. The sudden sound of a gunshot just shook me out of my half-asleep trance. Smoke was rising out of the barrel of the gun Aunt Ava held. Jessica had fallen to the floor and was covering both her eyes. Aunt Ava and Dr. Nanjo were looking down at her in shock.
Are you okay, Jessica-san? Jessica-san!
It hurts! It hurts! It hurts! It wasn't my fault! This happened because you came at me even after I told you to stop! Hey, wait a sec, what's going on? So did Jessica grab at Aunt Ava, which turned into a scuffle? They start fighting over Aunt Ava's gun? Some kind of impact caused the trigger to be pulled. I don't know if the bullet had grazed or if she'd just been burned by the discharge, but either way, Jessica was covering both of her eyes, screaming, "It hurts! It hurts! It hurts!" and rolling around on the floor.
Don't worry, calm down. It's not a serious wound, so get a hold of yourself.
My eyes hurt! It hurts! I can't see! I can't see! Dr. Nanjo let Jessica borrow his shoulder, saying that he would tend to her in the servant room. The servant room in this mansion had a bed and a first aid kit and was able to function as an infirmary. I mean, it kind of needs to in an island like this. Damn it! You killed Mom and Dad! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! It wasn't me! It wasn't me!
Jessica-san, you'll aggravate the wound, so don't move about. Come, let us go to the servant room.
Jessica continued to curse Aunt Ava as her parents' murderer. It seemed that Aunt Ava couldn't conceal her trembling at the fact that she had pulled the trigger even if it had been an accident. It wasn't my fault. It happened because that kid jumped at me. I didn't kill anyone. More importantly, who killed George? That's right. Who killed George? George! George! It isn't my fault. It isn't my fault. Wait a sec, Aunt Ava. Don't go off on your own. I don't know if it was because Aunt Ava couldn't bear her mistake or if she'd given up control of her body to anger at the person who killed her only son, or if it was both of those all mixed together. At any rate, she ran out of the corridor yelling, fearful, and screaming. I was also worried about Jessica's condition, but right then I couldn't leave Aunt Ava alone. Why would she go off on her own in this mansion, of all places? Is she suicidal? Dr. Nanjo took Jessica towards the servant room. I chased after Aunt Ava, dashing into the depths of the mansion. After sitting Jessica on the servant room bed, Nanjo told her several times not to touch her eyes and examine the infected area. The barrel had probably been near her eyes. There was a possibility that the flames from the discharge had injured her corneas. There was no threat to her life, but it would probably be necessary to take her to a doctor as soon as possible. Nanjo applied emergency first aid, covering the affected area with gauze and wrapping it with a bandage. As a result, Jessica completely lost her field of vision.
Is that okay? The wound may hurt or itch, but you mustn't scratch at it or rub it. When tomorrow comes, let's go to an ophthalmologist. Let's go to an ophthalmologist as soon as possible.
That bitch, she really was trying to kill me. If the angle had been just a little bit off, I'd have been killed by now. I'll definitely turn her into the police.
Ava-san would not do such a thing. That was an accident.
You call that an accident? She killed Dad and Mom. There's no way any 19th person or witch exists on this island. She's behind everything. She was the only one on the first floor of the guest house. George Nissan must have seen her kill Mom and Dad, and she killed him to keep him quiet. It's the same with Grandfather and the servants. I'm sure she snuck out of the family conference last night and killed all of them.
If that is indeed the case, then we will find out about it as soon as the police investigate. The police are incredible, and with their powers of discernment, there's nothing that cannot be understood. There's no need for us to suspect or hate anyone. The police will resolve everything. So for now, Jessica-san, you should devote yourself to resting your body and keeping your eyes safe. Of course, if you wrinkle your forehead too much, it'll do nothing good for your eyes, not to mention your beauty.
When Jessica's abuse of Ava had reached a crescendo, she actually had started glaring instinctively, and the pressure on her eyes had hurt her. Jessica herself realized that the more she talked, the more the wound would hurt, and regardless of whether she'd overcome her suspicions of Ava, she regained her composure for the time being. Oh, okay, 1 second. I've got a text message I've got to follow up on. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? She killed them. Dad and Mom. And Shannon. And Kanekun. Kanekun? She'd heard that Cannon had been killed in the chapel. Jessica still hadn't seen his face after he had died. Jessica was now less fearful about the fact that she was blinded, and more frightened that the police would carry Cannon's body away while she still couldn't see, and that she would have to say her final farewell without being able to look at his face. Her anger at the culprit, and her sadness at the death of the person she'd liked, those mixed emotions starting her crying. But right now, tears were actually painful for her, so she wasn't even permitted to leisurely remember his face in bygone days. Jessica could do nothing but sit on the bed and let her head droop, withstanding the pain.
Well then, now I'm more worried more about Ava-san. I hope she isn't too shaken by this.
Realizing that Jessica had calmed down for the time being and letting out a sigh, he had stuck his head out into the hallway to look for any sign of the others coming back. Then, their eyes met. Nanjo, unable to understand who this person was bewildered for an instant. I hear that people who have lost this power of sight have zero anti-magic power and magic resistance power. In other words, you're an isolated pawn right now. Understand what that means?
What did you say?
Nanjo had no way of understanding who the person in front of him was, much less what she had just said. Dr. Nanjo? One more moment. Okay. Okay. Dr. Nanjo? What's going on? Unable to see, Jessica had to rely on voices alone to make out the situation. But since she heard Nanjo say something in an uneasy tone, she tightened up, thinking that something bad might have happened.
Stop, please. Please don't kill me. I have a sick grandchild. I mustn't die here. Please spare me.
Dr. Nanjo? Dr. Nanjo! Jessica couldn't do anything except call out from the bed. Judging by the tone of his voice, Nanjo was in the corridor confronting someone, and he was scared. His life must have been threatened just a second ago.
No, stop it!
On the ninth twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. The witch pointed the end. Oh, hold up. What's going on here? Got some kind of a notification. That was weird. Did I drop more frames? No, I'm still streaming. Weird. Okay. I think we're okay. Ah, okay, that's what had happened. I had accidentally scrolled on one of my settings in OBS, and it gave me a red flashing signal. It didn't mess anything up, though, so we're good. Where was I? The witch pointed the end of her gold staff at Nanjo. Even though he didn't know what she was planning to do, Nanjo assumed that she must be trying to take his life. Dr. Nanjo! Dr. Nanjo! Is someone there? Answer me!
Stop it!
A sharp sound echoed. And just as sharply, the tip of the golden staff tapered and stretched, slicing into Nanjo's forehead. Jessica, who could only try to grasp what was happening with her ears, had no clue what was going on. But even so, she was able to realize that with that sound, Nanjo had died. And she could tell that that person was now in the corridor, right in front of the servant room. Furthermore, since she couldn't see, she wouldn't be able to run away, much less resist. Knowing that she was a mouse in a trap and in a life-or-death situation, Jessica shuddered. Oh, Jessica. Too bad your eyes got injured. Now you can't even escape. I'm gonna play a whole lot with Nanjo's corpse now. When I get bored of that, I'll kill you next and play a bunch more. Oh wait, if I've got you here blind already, I won't wait until you're dead. I'll have a lot of fun with you before I kill you too. So just wait there shaking for a while, okay? As you try to imagine all the ways I'm playing with Nanjo's corpse. Okay, sorry. Had to follow up on a message again. Jessica was struck with fear and let out a frail scream. She wanted to scream in a much louder voice, trying to get someone to help her, but she couldn't. When faced with true fear, it clogs up a person's throat. Right then, Jessica could barely even breathe. Help me! Help me! Hey, one moment. We've got obituaries here, so I'm gonna start that up. Let's see. It's Nanjo. Nanjo just died. Corpse discovered in the hallway outside the servant room in the mansion. The murder weapon is assumed to be a gun or a spear-shaped object. One last push, and he too would probably have been home free, but at the last possible moment, she did not permit him that. She searched around with her hands, trying to find some way to escape. But even though she should have known this room well, just being unable to see made it like a closed room of darkness. She ran into a shelf or something, and things like a candy jar and bottles fell. Things like candy jars and bottles fell down, hitting her on the head. As she was now, it would have been tough for her to even guard her head to block it. She was painfully aware of how powerless humans become just by losing their sense of sight. Of course, she had no time to be impressed by this fact. She crawled around at random, trying to escape from that place. But she kept bumping into things that she didn't understand, getting hit by various falling objects, and it felt like the entire room was alive, bullying her and refusing to let her escape. Then a footstep could be heard from that presence in the hallway, and then a voice. She probably poked her head into the room since Jessica had been so loud. You really are noisy. Act like a lady and wait there on the bed, 'cause I'll give you a wonderful blood-red death outfit fitting for such an honored daughter. Something good enough to make the person who finds you faint, okay? Until just a second ago, she had sworn that she'd kill the culprit if she found them. However, she was now very powerless. She couldn't do anything except let out a scream, crawling around on the floor and bumping her head into the bed and the legs of desks. Help me! Help me! Someone help me! Dad! Mom! Battler! Someone come! Help me! Kanakun! In the corridor, as the witch thought of how to toy with Nanjo's life, a single gold butterfly secretly watched that scene from the corner of the hallway. It was Beato, who had barely escaped with her life once before. The gold butterfly softly returned to human form. It was faint and transparent like a lace curtain. By now, her power was so weak that even maintaining this form was difficult for her. Right next to her, Novelle also appeared. It is unlikely that Jessica will survive. Of course, there were to be no survivors from the very beginning. She has grown feelings of love for Canon. I've toyed with him at times. However, such behavior was shameful for a witch. Love is the single element. Romantic love is even more pure, more sacred. But for some reason you seem to despise it thoroughly, milady. Teacher told me magic exists to bring people happiness. That's something I myself must have been aware of in the past. Ever since I forgot that, I stopped being a witch. And so I lost the right to be Battler's opponent. I can hardly believe it, milady. Do you actually intend to rescue Jessica? It will be dangerous. I know. Even if I do save her, she'll become a plaything in the witch's banquet when the door to the Golden Land opens. But even so, that death would be far more compassionate than what that person would do to her. The witch's banquet steals lives in a terrible way, but it does not do so more than once. It does not toy with life and death. However, that person is different. She kills over and over. She kills for fun. There's not even a trace of compassion there. I want to at least save Jessica from that kind of cruel fate. Certainly by carrying that out, you would probably be praised as a good witch. However, the new Beatrice-sama already views you as hostile, lady. If you were to be seen by her again, you would not have any method of escape this time, correct? When I reunited George and Shannon, I finally understood what a witch is, and what magic is. I am a witch. I must act as a witch, and I must be acknowledged as Battler's opponent and make Battler accept me as the witch this time around. The road to that goal may be long and difficult. However, if I do not take a step forward here and now, I won't be able to call myself a witch. I understand your feelings, but how do you plan to rescue her? There are not many forms of magic that your body is capable of now, milady. Did you not have to borrow George's power even back when you revived Shannon? Indeed. And for that very reason, I may be able to save Jessica. Right now, she's begging for Canon to save her. If I can borrow the power of that emotion, my magic may be able to knock on the doors of the land of the dead once again.
You may be able to knock, however you would use up all your magical energy. If you were to be spotted by the new Beatrice-sama, you would truly be without a method of escape. I am no longer your butler, milady. Understand that I cannot assist you if this situation worsens.
I know. By now I have toyed with and taken more lives than I can count, so I may not be able to make up for it, except by saving the same number of lives, bringing him through that door. I've had nothing to lose in the first place. I'm just a gold butterfly who has passed its name and magic power on and who is no longer acknowledged as a witch.
What about Battler-sama? Excuse me. You are partway through a game with him. He has said that he would wait until you returned. Are you truly satisfied to end it here? You have a duty to return to the seat across from Battler-sama, milady.
For that very reason, if there's a life that only I can save, I will save it. And I will be accepted as a witch. I must become a witch. If this is training, it is a very childish thing. Nothing compares with the evils that I've committed before now. Vanish, Novelle. Watch what may be the final magic of a single butterfly who used to be called a witch.
Certainly. Please, show me magic that will not disgrace the name of the Golden Witch. And I pray that it is not your final spell.
Go, my friend. If you can find enough ink, write down the story of my foolish life and hand it over to some fool who is about to walk down the same path. So long, Novelle. Kanin-kun, where are you? Where are you? Help me. Help me. Milady, I am always there by your side. Kanin-kun? Kanin-kun?
It seemed to Jessica as though she'd heard Cannon's voice just then. She looked around with unseeing eyes, but of course she saw nothing. On the contrary, that action caused her head to hit the desk again.
Kanin-kun? Kanin-kun? Help me! Help me!
Yes, milady. I will help you.
Kanin-kun? You survived?
This time she thought he'd heard his voice. She thought she heard his voice clearly. Jessica jumped up in surprise, banging her head against the desk once again. Well, she doesn't die from the killer. She's going to die from a concussion at this rate.
Milady, please, calm your heart and listen. Unfortunately, I am not alive. Huh? I have already died. However, that witch came to me and to tell me of your peril. And she gave me just a little bit of time so that I could save you, milady. Please, calm your heart even more. If you do, my form will become visible even to you, milady.
Jessica obeyed those words. She chased all idle thoughts from her head and relaxed her breathing. Of course, her heart felt like it was going to explode after hearing the voice of the one she'd liked and had thought was dead. She resisted the excitement with all her strength. When she did, she felt as though Kanin-kun really was right in front of her. Even though she shouldn't have been able to see him with her eyes, she was able to sense him clearly.
Can you see me, milady? Yeah, I can see. I can definitely see you, Kanin-kun. I exist only as a soul now, so I cannot touch you, milady. I cannot do anything except talk to you like this. With my current weak existence, I can do nothing more than that, but I should be able to be of some aid to you, milady. So, we can only talk? I can't touch you, Canon-kun? I am now more fragile than smoke from a candle. So much so that if one of the living such as you were to touch me, I would be wiped away instantly. So please don't try to touch me, because I'm also holding back my desire to touch you, milady. Okay. More importantly, milady, please listen well. The new Golden Witch has a cruel heart. She surely plans to make you meet with a horrible fate. You must escape from this room and hide. How? I can't see anything. Quiet. I will be your eyes, milady. Please move in accordance with my instructions. First, please crawl 3 steps from there, and stand up. You're now under the desk, milady. If you stand there, you'll hit your head. That was under the desk? Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna stand. Well done. Next, please turn face towards 9 o'clock. Yes, well done. This is pretty embarrassing. Oh! Are you okay? Does your wound hurt? No, I'm fine. What next?
Jessica thought that if this was a dream, she didn't want to wake up. And if she were allowed to, she would have wanted to take off the bandage covering her eyes and see him. However, if she did that, Canon might vanish like frail candle smoke, just like he himself had said. She was afraid of that. So she satisfied herself with just listening to his words once more, repressing her desire to see him, to hold him. Excuse me. Therefore, what hurt her eyes now were tears of gratitude. Tears of gratitude for the god, or maybe the witch, who had given her this miraculous moment.
Is this okay? If we keep talking like this, won't we be noticed by her? Won't our voices be heard? I have erected a secrecy barrier. As long as we don't make any loud sounds or speak noisily, no one will notice us. That's why people can't tell when I'm around. I don't really get it, but anyway, we'll be fine as long as we stay quiet, right? But what should I do next? Please walk 10 steps in that direction. You will touch the sofa. Please continue along that. Do it slowly. Stay calm. Believe in my words. Sure. It's weird. Even though it's so scary not being able to see, I'm not scared at all if you're with me, Canon-kun. Yes, that is the sofa. Trace it to the left while advancing slowly. There's a table just to your left. Be careful not to bump into it with your shins.
It was a very, very strange and bizarre team effort. Even though she would have been killed in an instant if the terrible witch noticed her, there was no fear in Jessica's heart. She was being protected and guided by Canon, someone she thought she'd never be reunited with. It would probably be just a momentary miracle. Even so, Jessica was deeply grateful for it. If she hoped for too much, she was sure that he would disappear, so she tried not to ruin this faint miracle. And trying to engrave this moment into her heart for all eternity, she slowly continued to walk, obeying Canon's voice.
Okay, if you walk 10 more steps, you'll exit the servant room. Then please turn to face 9 o'clock and keep walking very slowly. Put your hand on the wall to your right and keep on following that. I will take you to a safe room. If I go there, will you leave, Canon-kun?
Canon didn't answer, but his lack of an answer was enough to tell her the truth.
Then, no way. I don't want to go. If you stay here, you'll be killed by the witch. I don't mind. If I'm killed, I can go to the world where you are, Canon-kun. Milady, please listen to me. The human world's too bright and painful for the dead like me. So I cannot stay for long. So, milady, please allow me to use what time I'm allowed to guide you to a safe place. Because after that, I will stay with you until my time runs out. Is that the very best you can manage, Kennen-kun? Yes. In exchange, I will stay by your side as long as possible. I will stay with you and talk with you, milady. Talk about what? What do you want to talk about? I don't care what, as long as you're willing to tell me, Kennen-kun. Well then, I'll tell you the story of a cowardly servant boy who lacked all courage. The story of a foolish and pitiful boy who fell in love with a young lady as radiant as the sun. Even when the lady confessed those same feelings to him, he lost to his cowardice, and was never able to be honest with his feelings while he still lived. Yes, then I want to tell you a story too. It's the story of a cowardly girl who couldn't muster the courage to tell the boy she loved how she felt much more often. A story of how that girl, after being reunited with that boy by a miracle from God, used that chance to finally muster up her courage. I also want to hear that. So for that reason as well, let us go to a safe place. Yeah, if I could be with you, Kennen-kun, I would walk however far, however long it took. I don't need eyes anymore. If you tell me to step forward, I'll take that step, even if it leads off a cliff. Thank you. Come, lady. Let us go. The first 10 steps. No, I don't like it. I won't do it unless you call me Jessica. Understood. Well then, Jessica, take the first step, 10 steps. Yes, Kennen-kun.
Very quietly, Jessica and Cannon slowly snuck out of the servant room. Just around the corner, the witch could be seen cruelly looking down at Nanjo's corpse, but she didn't even notice their presence. However, Ronove, who stood at the ready by her side, met Cannon's eyes. Cannon thought, "Oh no," grimacing and blocking Jessica with his back. However, Ronove did not inform his master. He played dumb, just as though he hadn't spotted Cannon in the first place. No, maybe he did appear to chuckle. From a finger on Ronove's hands, which were joined behind his back, a single small gold butterfly appeared, flying in front of Cannon as though guiding him. It went unnoticed by the master he served. Cannon was surprised at the magic that the butterfly held, because it was far more powerful than the secrecy barrier Cannon possessed. He may not have known it, but that power of his had originally been Ronove's. Cannon's ability was an imitation of that, which Kinzo had made and given to him. As that butterfly of secrecy magic scattered gold scales, it grew smaller bit by bit. It probably wouldn't last long, but without a doubt, even that would buy them enough time to get them far away from the cruel witch.
Okay, milady, let's follow that wall and keep walking. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. If I can be with you, Kennen-kun, I'll keep on going. On and on.
Led and protected by the small gold butterfly, the pair, separated by the wall of life and death, slowly walked away towards the end of the corridor. There was no way that the evil witch could have had magic to notice their flight. Until they had disappeared at the other end of the corridor, the witch didn't realize that Jessica had vanished. By the time the gold butterfly Ronove had sent had evaporated completely, Jessica had reached the parlor. Even though it would have been a quick trip if she'd been able to see, as she was now, it had been a very long adventure.
Come, lady. We've reached the parlor. I'll now take you to the bundle of curtains by the window. If you hide in there, you'll surely be safe. Inside the curtains? Not bad. I used to hide in there a lot, long ago. Beatrice-sama! Huh? Canon called out the witch's name. Jessica looked around in surprise, but she obviously couldn't spot the witch when she couldn't see. Beato had appeared once again with a faint form. Canon squared off against the figure of the evil witch, but Beato's expression was soft, or even pitying. I don't know what sort of whim led you to revive me, nor do I understand what you're thinking now. Oh, it was nothing more than a whim. No. This is how witches should be. It took me 1,000 years to realize that. That is how foolish it is. Who is it? Who's there? My lady, be quiet. She's the witch, Beatrice. I owe her because she let me be with you one more time. The witch? Beatrice? Forget about me. More importantly, you should quickly hide that girl in the shadows of the curtains. You probably do not have much time left. You may spend it having a final conversation with Jessica. A secret meeting inside a bunch of curtains. How clever you two are. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you for letting me be with Ganon-kun. Jessica didn't know where Beato was, so she said that while facing in the wrong direction. Perhaps because she found that funny, Beato snickered. I will now leave this room to the pair of lovers. Evil witches have no need for tales of love. Allow me to depart. Beatrice-sama, thank you very much. There is no need to thank me. You know that something like this cannot compensate for all the evil I've done. I offer my gratitude to this good witch as a parting gift. I don't know what has happened before or what will happen later. However, at this very moment, you are without a doubt a good witch. You flatter me, Furniture. The next time we meet, I may be an evil witch who doesn't betray your expectations. And with that, farewell. Beato left the parlor and closed the door, and mustering the last of her remaining magical power, she sealed the door. The fact that those two had escaped into here would eventually be noticed, and now that the ninth twilight had been reached, no matter how much they struggled, their inescapable fate had already been decided. However, until that final moment, they should be given the chance to speak with each other of their love. The witch poured out all of her magical power to protect their time together, so that no one would be able to defile their time alone until the last possible moment. At that time, Beato noticed something. Her body had been detected by a magical searching technique. The evil witch's furniture had sniffed this place out. So, boorishness is the witch's way of doing things after all. To think that she doesn't even intend to let those two young ones speak together of their love. 45. Data received. Checking target. Confirmed that the predecessor Lady Beatrice. Analyzing parlor defensive wall. 72-layered, multi-layered defensive wall. Attack-proof barrier and anti-magic armor. Sniping into the parlor will be impossible. Data link to 410. 410. Data received. And then we've just got to kill predecessor Shama first. Yeah. Great, Lady Beatrice. Your firing permission, please. Go ahead and shoot. Oh, and avoid her vital areas. There's something I want to ask that old hag. .410, firing! The Chester sisters' gold bow released a gold snake. It crawled down the corridor, starting from the front of the servant room, aiming for the parlor as it drew a soft, snake-like curved line trajectory. And pierced Beato's chest. Gold butterflies gathered, and the cruel witch appeared along with her furniture. Predecessor Sama, no further obstructions will be permitted. I didn't think they would be. Still, the Chester sisters really have gotten rusty. To think that they failed to bring me down. And twice at that!
Novelle spoke in a manner befitting the witch's butler. As she pushed her pain aside, Beato grinned and spoke back.
My apologies, Predecessor Sama. We were ordered to avoid vital areas. As soon as we get the order, we can pierce you at any time. We can pierce a hole in your ears, a hole in your belly button, any hole you like.
The gold snake that had pierced Beatrice grew even longer, drawing a funnel-shaped helix and awaiting its next order. It was prepared to pierce a vital spot as soon as the evil witch told it to.
For what reason would someone like you, who is no less brutal than I, make them avoid my vital areas? New Beatrice? I wanted to ask you something. I don't know what kind of trick you used to escape, but we thought we took you out, right? Why is it that even though you could have escaped by hiding, you took the risk of appearing again? It can't be that you came back just to protect those two young people, right? Well, who knows? And just a second ago, why did you do something as soft as reviving the lovers and reuniting them? The more I hear about you, the more I learn that I don't even reach up to your feet as an incarnation of evil. If you're like that, why did you suddenly start acting so mildly? That's what I wanted to ask. I am brutal, therefore I am fickle. What purpose could questioning that possibly serve? Chester sisters, sell her.
When she ordered that, the gold snake that was curled in a helix and suspended in space moved as fast as a real snake going after its prey, and pierced Beato's body multiple times from both sides, its gold tail drawing an X shape. As the cruel witch had ordered, it drew a cross-stitch through Beato's chest. The gold thread made a squeaking sound that tormented Beato. Rather than a gold snake searching for its prey, it waited for orders like a sewing needle ready to sew Beato.
If it's you we're talking about, there's no way it could have been a whim. I've heard about you, and I've learned. You're such an incarnation of evil that I don't even rise up to your feet. I thought I was truly a fitting successor to you. But you've always been in the way. You always say warm, pleasant things that shock me. What changed you? You explored the depths of evil for 1,000 years, and I let you live because I wanted to know what happened to make you change so much. If you really want to know, I suggest you waste 1,000 years as well. So...
Beato's chest was once again sewn with a golden cross-stitch. It tightened once again, squeezing fresh blood from Beato's chest. The intense pain it caused ran in conflict with its beauty to the eye.
You might be one of those things that disappear when they die and don't leave a corpse, so I'll kill you slowly. But if you answer my questions honestly, I'll let you die easy. I'll give you a splendid, gorgeous death, perfect for my predecessor Sama. I'll sink you in a coffin filled with water and roses. Isn't that wonderful? And you still won't talk? About this reason for your change of heart? Not answering when she is asked is another one of an evil witch's pleasures. So, twice. Of course you don't have to answer. After all, that way I get to torture you. The endless magic truly is wonderful. When you think about it, this world is limited in every way. The endless cannot exist in the human world. Because gods are without limits, the human world is deprived of all limitlessness so they can be looked down upon. So in other words, this endless power is the power of the gods. A wonderful power where the more you play with it, the more fun ways of playing you find. You use that power as you please for 1,000 years and went on a rampage. Why are you having a change of heart only now? You aren't going to say you regret handing it over to me, are you? How could I regret it? The endless magic you believe in is no magic at all. True magic lies in a deep abyss that you most certainly cannot reach. And this is what you realized? What is it? Wander about for 1,000 years without realizing, foolish witch. So, 3 times this time. Beato's chest had been embroidered with the gold thread. It tightened even more, causing Beato more and more pain. Well, that's fine. I'm no longer curious about what kind of revelations an old hag who refuses to die might have had. I'm bored now, so I'll just kill you. If I do, the barrier around the parlor will dissolve. Then I'll torture Canon and Jessica to death a whole bunch of times. Being able to have 2 lovers as my toys at the same time sounds pretty fun, right? Killer. Without missing by a millimeter, the gold sewing thread shot through Beato's heart. That intense pain was worse than all the pain before that put together. Beato finally remembered the actual feeling of dying, which she had forgotten over the course of 1,000 years. But she couldn't die. She must not die. If she died, it would mean handing over the 2 in the parlor to the cruel witch. So she definitely couldn't die. She resolutely refused to die. New Beatrice, I have a request. The lovers' meeting between the 2 in the parlor will not last long. And the amount of time an hourglass can measure will probably vanish into the land of the dead. Would you please allow them at least that much time? No way! Isn't tearing apart 2 who love each other fun? You said it yourself. So I want to try it. In that case, I mustn't allow you that pleasure. Yes, it can be fun tearing apart lovers. Really? I'm sure it is fun. So don't get in my way. So more. So. 410, understood? The merciless gold sewing needle sewed the gold thread through Beato's heart over and over again. However, no matter how much it tightened, that heart did not stop. This isn't nearly enough. I won't die by something like this. What are you doing? Make this old hag shut up! Kill her quickly! We're killing her! Even though we've sewn her heart into place several times, this person's heart won't stop. Are you immortal? Of course not. I've handed the endless over to you. My heart will not beat many more times. However, if by making it beat just once more I can give the 2 in this room a bit more time, I'll continue that resistance for all eternity. So, keep sewing until her heart stops moving. Why doesn't she die? It's impossible! Why isn't her heart stopping? Even though it's been sewn in place? Who cares? What makes the heart explode from the inside, yeah? How pitiful, and you could have died cleanly if you hadn't resisted us. As I said that, even though the gold needle and thread made round trips over and over again, Beato still didn't die. The cruel witch eventually grew pale at how bizarre that was. What in the world are you? Yeah, you probably cannot understand. Even I didn't understand. And yet, somehow or another, it seems that this is true magic. In other words, I have now become it. I have become a true witch! Fiery explosion center and heart interior. Fuse preparations ready. Explode! There was a terrible sound, and gold leaf was scattered around the area, along with a cloud of gold butterflies. Beato's chest had opened wide from the inside, and from that, gold butterflies and gold leaf poured out, staining the surrounding area gold. Then Beato's flesh crumpled. Like a puppet whose strings had been cut, she crouched down and crumpled. However, a gold heart tied by gold threads floated in the air and continued to beat. What the? Eee! Monster! Eee! When the Chiester sisters saw that, they fell on their butts in shock. Somehow, even though Beato had become nothing more than a heart, it still kept beating, continuing to protect the barrier to the parlor. It was an immeasurably vast magical power, impossible to measure. In other words, endless. I'm the Endless Witch, right? Why is this old hag still alive after all this? Chester sisters, smash that heart! Quickly! It's impossible! My apologies! We can't do it! Indeed, it probably will be impossible. No number of people could crush that heart. And certainly not the soldiers who serve under His Highness the Dragon King. In that case, an endless witch like me should be able to crush it, right? My power is that of a god. I am afraid to say that your power cannot leave a single wound on the endless of Beatrice-sama. Just what do you mean by that? Just as there can be no light without knowledge of shadows, there can be no infinite without knowledge of the finite. Before Milady Beatrice's true endless power, your frail magic is quite lacking. What is that? The cruel witch was surprised and stepped back. It was thinner than a lace curtain. No, Beatrice's form was still standing there. Even after being laid bare so tragically like this, she refused to let evil through that door. At that time, a shadow just as thin as Beatrice stood behind her. It was Canon. Beatrice-sama, thank you very much. I won't forget what you've done for us. I'll hear those words of yours once the number of my blessings has surpassed the number of grievances I have caused. Was that long enough? Yes, truly, thank you very much. And Beatrice-sama, you have also done enough. Please, be at peace. Is that so? Is this enough? What's going on? Why are you guys calling that old hag Beatrice? Beatrice's my name, right? It's gotta be, since I'm the new Golden Witch and Endless Witch, right? How rude. How dare you claim Beatrice-sama's name? I am afraid to say that the name of Beatrice-sama belongs to the one crowned as the Endless Witch. Right now, you are the predecessor. What did you say? Farewell, Canon. I'm sure I'll see you soon enough. In a new nightmare. In the nightmare of a new night, I will once again be your companion, Beatrice-sama. With that, if you would excuse me. Canon's form grew faint, and he disappeared into thin air. After watching him go, Beatrice's form also grew faint, and before disappearing, it slumped over onto the floor. Then there was a splat. the golden heart that had been floating in midair lost its sparkle, became blood-stained flesh, and fell to the ground. How frail it was. It was ragged and full of holes. But until a moment ago it had sparkled so much, had continued to beat so forcefully. That heart still just barely managed to beat. However, it was only a matter of time before it stopped. Beatrice, whose form had become fragile and faint like incense smoke, lay on the floor, steadily watching her own heart. There, the cruel witch could be seen.
What do you mean, endless? Aren't you actually collapsed in a heap right there? How can there be a finite infinity? That's a contradiction. It couldn't exist. This is the limit of your magic. The endless is better than the finite.
Beatrice no longer even had the will to respond. No, on the contrary, it was doubtful that the words of the cruel witch even reached her ears.
If you're a real endless witch, try standing up. How's it going?
Like, if you're truly the son of God, why don't you bring yourself down from that cross?
How's it going? You can't stand, can you? Why do you think you can't stand? It's because you aren't the endless witch.
The cruel witch poked Beatrice's heart with her fingernail. Beatrice had no words with which to respond to that provocation. However, instead of words, she returned a single expression. It felt humiliating only to the cruel witch. Because she had gently curved her mouth and smiled. Footsteps were approaching that place. There was no way she had misheard it. That rough squeaking of heels was the sound of Battler's footsteps.
Battler, is it? After talking so tough, I ended up like this. I've been trying to become the true witch you talked about. In my own way. Yeah, I was watching. Hey, have I been able to become a witch? Have I earned the right to become your opponent?
It's useless. Battler said it unbelievably bluntly. As Beatrice breathed painfully, she saw this and sneered at herself, as though she should have expected it.
I see. Yes, the road to becoming a true witch will be much, much longer than this. However, I will not surrender, just like you never surrendered to my torture. I will definitely become a true witch and be accepted as your opponent. Yeah, it's useless. It's all useless. You aren't my opponent.
The cruel witch raised her foot high. Below it was Beatrice's frail heart.
Die, you old hag! Let's see how endless you are when you've been crushed to a pulp. I'm the witch. I'm the golden witch, Beatrice. Die! Yeah, it's no good. It's no goddamn good at all! What? Where is this? Get in your seat. Beato isn't my opponent. You are. Battler? What kind of magic is this? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Chester sisters! 45, understood. Attacking everywhere. 4 and 0, understood. Die, Battler!
The Chester sisters each readied their own golden bows and fired golden arrows. The two only pulled the bowstring together when using precision guidance.
If they were fighting against an enemy before their eyes, they fired their bows at the same time, and their might did not suffer in the slightest.
But what? It was deflected? There's no barrier. It was deflected by resistance alone. 45, target analysis. 45, understood. What? Did I break down? Am I insane? Anti-magic resistance power, endless 9! Even mythical class magical attacks won't be effective against the target.
Golden Bow warheads could penetrate any magical armor through reciprocal corrosion. When one tried to block them with anti-magic resistance power, even 8 digits were not sufficient to prevent their penetration. By the way, even famous gods that appear in myths rarely reach as high as 9 digits. For that reason, 9 digits were enough to measure pretty much all sensible values. Battler had buried all 9 of those digits with 9s.
How foolish.
When Battler Sama gets serious, magical arrows and the like aren't even enough to make his hair tremble. The Chiester sisters dropped their golden bows in shock. To Battler himself, it was though a pair of dragonflies had flown past his shoulder. What are you doing? Is that some kind of game? Hydration.
Monster!
Stay back, small fries. Get in your seat, fake witch. I'll tear off that mask of yours. The Chiester sisters couldn't hide their fear at Battler's ferocity, and they backed up as though they'd been struck. Beatrice watched this scene in shock.
Battler... What is this supposed to be?
Just like you see, you aren't my opponent. She is! That imposter over there who's using your name! I'm fighting against a witch. I face off against an opponent who claims to be a witch, and I deny witches by defeating them. I see more than enough of your arrogance. Then Battler's eyes grew as sharp as blades as he stared down the cruel witch. What are you calling magic? What are you calling witches? You're no witch! I'll rip that mask off and tear it to shreds! Virgilia, get ready to fight!
Understood. Preparations are complete, so go whenever you're ready. Beatrice, stay back and rest.
Indeed. Beato looked at Battler timidly. She still hadn't been acknowledged as his opponent. Was she qualified to watch the game board from the sidelines? Beato, stay back and watch. I'll tear it off. I'll thoroughly dismantle this fake witch. I won't let someone like this call themselves a witch. You protected the honor of true witches. You don't need to say anything. On your behalf, I'll teach her that the name of the Golden Witch definitely isn't that cheap. Battler... Those are the general rules.
Thank you, Novelle. I get most of the rules now. I see. You can't win with magic, so you came to face off with me in a world where victory is decided by something other than magic. Foolish people. Do you really think you can win against me with twisted logic?
Yeah, I do. I'll crush all of your twisted logic, Aunt Ava.
I am not Ava. That is the name of the old shell I shed. I am a true witch born inside of her.
Don't try to trick me. Your true form isn't a witch or anything like it, but a flesh and blood human. The human culprit Ushiromiya Ava. Virgilia, reconstruct the second Twilight.
Understood. On the second Twilight, Rosa and Maria were killed in the Rose Garden. We began by applying the Ava culprit theory for that case. Huh? Ridiculous. Come, arise, try to remember. What form did Ushiromiya Hideyoshi have?
What?
What's this supposed to be? It's a summoning of the dead. A witch can easily bring even the dead up to the stand for testimony. On the opposing side, a transparent Uncle Hideyoshi was summoned. Talk about convenient. He looked as though he couldn't see what was going on here, almost like a person on the other side of the TV. A witness summons Ushiromiya Hideyoshi's testimony. Come, Hideyoshi, speak.
I was taking care of Ava in her room the whole time. Of course, Ava didn't leave the room.
And Ava, we're out here testimony that isn't red ain't worth crap. I demand that he repeats it again in red. Oh yeah, that's right. Sure, say it in red.
I was in the room the whole time, both before and after the time period of the crime.
See, look. This makes it impossible for Ava to be the culprit, right? How will you counter this? Ridiculous. That move's so lame I could yawn. Bears will never use such childish tricks, not even once. Battler. Repeat it! And Ava was also in the room for the entire time before and after the crime. Uncle Hideyoshi was just there to create an alibi. You made him stay in the room and stealthily snuck out. If that isn't true, this guy should be able to say so in red. I refuse to repeat it. Hideyoshi's evidence is sufficient. There's no need for me to repeat that, right? She has refused. You need show no mercy. This is check. Yeah, I'll take it. His opponent's slow. Check! Maybe Uncle Hideyoshi didn't leave the room the whole time. But saying he was taking care of you the whole time is a bright red lie. Therefore, no alibi exists for you. You had a chance to slip out of the room and kill Aunt Rosa and Maria. If you think you can dodge that, try proclaiming in red that Aunt Ava didn't take a step outside of her room. You can't, right? Checkmate! What the hell? I don't get it. Sorry, Aunt Ava. Even if you aren't used to the rules, beating your opponent down with all your strength is how this game is played. Right, Beatel? Indeed. The witch side resigns. Let us continue on to the next game. Next is the 4th through 6th Twilights. It seemed that the witch still didn't understand how to make a winning move, and she lost her composure in irritation. She was probably also angry that a shot had been taken at her while she still didn't get what was going on. Sorry. Angry battler, and hour and a half into the stream, starting to... There we go. I think it should be more or less okay now. Oh, however, I won't go easy on her at all. Just like she didn't go easy on the victims at all, I won't go easy on her. Virgilia, next crime. Let's reconstruct the case with Dad and the rest. Understood. 3 people, Rudolph, Kirie, and Hideyoshi, went to the mansion and were killed there. My move won't change. And Ava, you are the culprit. This time you don't even have an alibi from Uncle Hideyoshi. You claim that you were sleeping in that room all by yourself. Well, that's not true. If you can proclaim it in red, just try it. I refuse. So tell me, Ava's just a woman, and the people who died were 3 adults with 2 guns, right? How did she kill them all by herself? How did she do it with those stakes as weapons? Like everyone keeps asking, how is the stake shooting device constructed? Explain that! Unless you can explain it, even if Ava doesn't have an alibi, that doesn't mean it was possible for her to commit the murders. Decline explanation. It's called a devil's proof. Just because I can't explain it, that doesn't deny the existence of an unknown murder technique, or maybe an unknown weapon. In short, even if I can't explain how the stake shooting device is constructed, that doesn't prove that it doesn't exist. What the hell? Does that ridiculousness even count? Your devil's proof is valid. Agreed. It's a valid devil's proof. Battler-kun can claim that a stake shooting device exists without bearing the responsibility of explaining how it is constructed. The witch side cannot object to this move. Not bad. How pushy. Heh! Well, there's this ill-natured witch who trained me well. This is check, okay? Trying saying in red that Aunt Ava didn't take a step out of that room. That's right, you shouldn't be able to say it. If you can't say it, it's over. Checkmate! That's so irrational! This is messed up! Those are the rules of this game. How about some black tea first? And some delicious cookies as well. I don't need all that! Ah, that pisses me off! So you fight like a coward just because you can't win with magic. Excuse me. Don't get irritated. Drink some black tea or something. I'll take mine straight. What about you, Beato? I'm fine. More importantly, Battler, don't let your guard down. Your opponent is only unfamiliar with the rules. This will only really start once your opponent gets the gist of it. But I'll crush her. I'll thoroughly crush her. Because she isn't a witch. If I accept her as a witch, all your stubbornness will count for nothing. I don't care what kind of irrational argument or twisted logic I have to use, I'll crush her with all my heart and soul. Battler sighed, then stuck with the Ava culprit theory to explain Kraus and Natsuhi. The 7th and 8th Twilights in the exact same way. At the time, there had been no one on the first floor except for Ava and the victims. As before, no one could establish an alibi for Ava. Back then, Ava had claimed that they disappeared while she went to the bathroom, but there was nothing to support that, and the witch side couldn't repeat it in red either. Using the same style of argument as that question regarding the stakes shooting machine, the witch side asked once more how Ava could have strangled both of them at the same time, all by herself. But of course, Battler splendidly countered attack by refusing to explain because of the devil's proof. Under the storm and stress of Battler's spirit, the witch side was completely swallowed up, having to resign 3 times during the short period of time she had to grasp the rules. I see. I'm finally starting to get the knack of it. I won't let you have things your own way anymore. This time let me take the initiative. Ronove, construct the 4th through 6th Twilights. Pick out Ushiromiya Kirie. For now, let me return to the murders of Rudolph Kirie and Hideyoshi during the 4th through 6th Twilights. What is she thinking? Why would she return once more to a situation where she lost? I see. This is an unusual attack and one you do not use. Be careful. At the time, the survivors were barricaded in the guest house. They didn't have food, but out of concern for their safety, they were at least prepared to go without eating until the next day. However, in the end, 3 of them went out for food. That's right. In the end, 3 people went outside to get food. It's a pain, so I'll add in some red and say it. Kirie didn't think that they needed food. Since going without food for about a day wouldn't kill them, she claimed that they should not leave the guest house. And yet, she herself suggested that they leave the guest house to get food. Isn't that a contradiction?
Yes, a spectacular contradiction. A contradiction exists in Kirie's pattern of behavior.
That contradiction was created by me with magic. In other words, I controlled Kirie using magic and made her say that to lure the sacrifices outside.
Ridiculous! There's no way that kind of magic exists.
It's a devil's proof, right? Just because you don't know about that magic doesn't deny its existence. And I don't bear the responsibility of acting out that magic for you. And yet you have even less room to counter this argument. I wonder if it's alright to fight this way.
Hey, legendary anime JP fan 2, thank you so much for joining. First time chatting here. Thank you so much for being here, and glad to have you. How'd you find the channel? And I see hello visual novel inspector here. Great voice acting. Congrats, especially Umineko. Yes, it is one of my all-time favorite stories. And thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Oh, and you got the Battler one. Nice, nice, perfect.
Yeah.
Right. I wonder if it's alright to fight this way.
Yes, it is truly a spectacular move. Battle to Summit, your response, if you please.
That's a weird strategy she's taking. So just what is this? She has placed a piece attacking Ushiromi Kirie's pattern of behavior. As she has already been explained, Kirie's pattern of behavior had her saying that they should not go outside or head to the mansion in order to get food. And yet she herself took the initiative, taking the contradictory action of going outside to get food. Unless you can explain this contradiction, she will use this violent move to claim that magic is the cause.
Well, that's probably what Kirie-san thought in the beginning. But she probably, thought through a few things midway and changed her mind and decided that food really was necessary. It'd be bad if, when things got tough, we were so hungry that we had no energy, and, well...
She is claiming that this change of heart was due to magic. In short, while it might be extremely difficult, you must explain the reason for Kirie's change of heart.
What are you saying? Ah, you inspect entire Twitch streamer if they have knowledge of visual novel games. Ah, gotcha. Okay, well, thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here. And thank you for the follow. I do visual novel streams on Wednesdays. Sundays more of a grab bag. Sundays well, right now I'm currently in the middle of Earthbound. But, let's see. Yeah, currently in the middle of Earthbound. I've also played games like Death Stranding, what's the other one? Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima. Those I usually do on Sundays. Visual novels are Wednesdays, though. Also done Phoenix Wright. Someday, I'd kind of like to do the Zero Escape trilogy. Although the third one might be a little bit difficult since it's more cinematic than actual. Well, no. I guess technically speaking, those ones actually have built-in voice acting, so that might not be as tough. I don't know. I'll think about it. I do really like that trilogy, though, so Higurashi might be on the table at some point, too. What are you saying? You're talking about the inside of Kirie-san's head, right? Can I also summon Kirie-san's ghost and question her? Beato, can't you call Kirie-san here or something?
She cannot. That is a move permitted only to the witch side. Sorry.
Ah, fuck. She was probably, thinking of his kids, and, on the whole, thought that food was necessary, and... You give me a thumbs up, I prove to you that I have knowledge as a visual novel streamer. Well, I appreciate it. Oh, Steins Gate, that would be a great one at some point. Yeah, definitely. Although, I kind of like to do linear bounded phenogram since it's the less accessible of the Steins Gate novels. Because, Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero, while the visual novel of Zero is better, that you still can get the complete story via an anime form, whereas the linear bounded phenogram has no such adaptation, so that might be on the table as well.
You must present your claim through objective means. You'll need concrete proof that Kirie changed her mind and decided that food really was necessary for some specific reason. For example, if someone heard her say that, or if it was written down somewhere. Too bad. No reason for her changing her mind was ever told to anyone, nor was one ever written down. Therefore, you can only speculate as to what was inside Kirie's mind. So it's impossible to explain. You don't have a single counter to my move. Isn't it your turn to resign now, Battler-kun? It is possible to hypothesize endlessly as to the reason behind her change of heart, and it is impossible to crush all those endless possibilities.
A detestably spectacular move. If Battler Sama were to have a method of countering, it would probably only be that move.
What move is that?
Well, I wonder what kind of move it could be. I have the feeling that it was Milady's specialty, but I cannot remember.
Quit being stingy and tell me. Beatrice, no answers will be given to those who stop thinking for themselves. Think. Think in your own way. Why don't you resign right now? And I'll corner you even more with Red. Until the last instant before she died, Kyrie's behavior pattern of not going to get food equals not going to the mansion was maintained. And yet, she took the initiative and headed towards the mansion. She was pushing a cart ready to carry food. Why that contradiction? Because I controlled it with magic. This is proof that my magic exists and that I am a witch.
Shut the hell up! Are you saying that she never even changed her mind? At the whole time until she died, Kyrie-san thought, we don't need food, and we go to the mansion? And why did she step forward herself and say that they should go to the food and go to the mansion? Are you saying that Kyrie-san was being controlled with magic? That's stupid! How should I break through this magic? If only Kyrie were here and just told us the reason behind her change of heart. No, I've told her. I've already been told to Red that she never even changed her mind. What should I do? There's no move that the human side can counter with. The more I learn about this game, the more advantageous the rules seem for the witch, right? Even if I lose in a lot of areas, if I can win in just one, that alone can display the existence of a witch. In other words, Battlerkin has no way of denying witches other than a complete victory. How truly funny that even though you thought you could corner me and call me Ava, it's all been spun around by nothing more than the inside of your respective Kyrie-san's head, right? Just do it, resign. If only you just accept it. If only you just lose. Damn it! It's impossible for a human to prove. I can't do anything but guess at what the dead were thinking when they acted. Furthermore, I can't deny the magic based on conjecture alone. To break through, but I need objective proof as to why Kyrie-san had a change of heart. But damn it! It's been said and read that no proof exists as to why she changed her mind and wanted food. What should I do? Damn it! Damn it!
Battler-sama, is this your resignation?
Not going to get food equals not going to the mansion. But then how should I understand Kyrie-san's thoughts, which actually do contradict each other? You can't understand. It's impossible to understand and impossible to interpret. That darkness is all the witch. Come on, it's useless to think, so quit, okay? You can't deny witches. After all, I exist right here. I am the Golden Witch. I stole that name from the former witch over there. You can't deny that I am Beatrice. Damn it! You have no right to use that name. And yet, I can't think of a move to deny it.
Battler could no longer counter this witch who was laughing insanely in triumph. He didn't want to give up, but no move appeared. He ground his teeth, making fists with both hands. But even so, he couldn't think of a brilliant counterattack. Battler-sama, your time limit is over, so will you resign?
Ah!
The human side has no move in response. It will resign. Wait! There is a counter. What did you say? Huh? What kind of move could possibly exist, Predecessor Sama? Won't you tell me what kind of move could deny this magic of Beatrice's? You can't. It's impossible. If the proposition that not going to get food equals not going to the mansion cannot be explained by itself, I will explain it with a contrapositive. In short, you can also explain it with she still went to the mansion equals she had a goal other than food. And this is less my specialty, Hempel's Raven, than it is Battler's specialty, chessboard thinking. If it was impossible for Kirie to have gone to the mansion with food as a goal, then we can only explain it by saying that she had another reason that got her to go outside despite that. In other words, if we can prove that she had such a goal, we can defeat this magic. I see. Yeah, that's some Phoenix Wright stuff right there. You know, don't think of why she had to get food. Think of it as she couldn't get food. Therefore, why else would she go to the mansion? I see. So she didn't go to the mansion with food as a goal, but she had a different goal. And she said she wanted to go and get food in order to disguise her real goal. True enough, it might be possible to find an explanation that way. But how? Teacher, reconstruct the scene of Kirie's death. We cannot summon a ghost, but inspecting the corpse ought to be a right allowed to a human side. Yes, there is no problem. I shall reconstruct the scene where Ushiromiya Kirie died. We cannot call Kirie's ghost here, but by finding out what Kirie left behind, we may be able to use that as a weapon. Fine! Search as much as you want. There's no way you'll learn anything. I just said it and read a short while ago. Kirie did not leave anything written down. No matter what you find, how could you possibly figure anything out? We may find nothing, but Battler is grinding his teeth, fighting to think of a move to break through you. This is all that I can do. Beatrice landed on her feet in the reconstructed hall, approached Kirie's corpse, and wandered around observing. I am completely clueless when it comes to fighting on the human side. We need to find evidence, right? Then what should I search for? The great Lady Beatrice is getting down on her knees and crawling around. And she's even decently searching a corpse. That look suits you. Say whatever you wish. I cannot do any more than this. I care not how I am despised. However, I cannot throw Battler away as he is fighting for my honor. Even if I must crawl on the ground and search through dead flesh, I must answer to that responsibility. Bathed in the witch's sneers, Beato searched through Kirie's corpse. She fished through the pockets, taking what was inside out and laying it on the floor. Laid on the floor was a handkerchief, tissue, a key to her house, the stub of a boat ticket, a lighter, a cigarette butt, and a single 100-yen coin. There was no special suspicious object. Although Beato was down on all fours and being sneered at, that was all she could find. What's with that seedy-looking trash? How do you think you can break my magic with that stuff? Worthless, worthless, are you a moron? How can you be so lame and right after you cut in between is talking so tough? Ah, how pathetic, how embarrassing. If only you'd just give up and die. The witch fell over laughing, lambasting Beato. Beato hung her head, trying to withstand the shame. Milady, are you finished with your inspection? Indeed. I will not find any more than this. Can you make any counter from this evidence? If not, then the human side must resign. Obviously, you don't have any room to argue back. I am a witch. You cannot break through my magic. You no longer are anything but a former witch. A loser who isn't even allowed to take the name Beatrice anymore. Come on, pile up as much trash and rubbish as you'd like and just try to break my magic. You can't, right? You can't, can you? And why is that? It's because I'm a witch. It's because you're just a loser without a name. Something should be here. I won't lose heart. I will not lose heart. No matter how much I am sneered at, Battler is fighting for my honor. So for the sake of his honor, I must not lose heart. As Beato held back tears at the words of humiliation she was being showered with, she tried to find if Kyrie was holding something else, to find something that could save Battler from his plight, searching earnestly. However, nothing more came up. Damn it. Please, Ushiromiya Kyrie, you must save your son from his plight. Please, after death, lend me power for his sake. However, Kyrie's body did not answer. It was only natural that a corpse would remain silent. Excuse me. No dead person existed that would answer Beato, who had lost the endless magic. It's pointless, pointless, pointless! Wait, did she just muda me? She did just muda me. Muda! Like, here, I'll go back to the logs. You can hear it for yourself. Muda, there you go. Toying with the dead is a privilege only for witches. For you, who is neither a witch nor even a human, no one exists who will lend a hand. You will be alone for all eternity. You have no witch or human allies, and no one will save you. If that's frustrating, why don't you cry? If only you just apologize, saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so useless." Sorry, Battler. I couldn't help you at all. No, that's enough. Thanks, Beato. I won't waste your efforts. I don't need consoling! How could you possibly argue back with this pile of rubbish? Just how could you possibly strike back with this rubbish I scraped together while she sneered at me? In front of Beato, who was still crawling on all fours and hitting the pile of objects Kyrie had left behind with her fist, Battler also crouched. And, after patting her on the shoulder in thanks, he moved that hand to the ground, picked up the cigarette butt, and held it up over his head. What are you trying to say with that trash? Kyrie-san doesn't smoke. But Kyrie also had a lighter on her. True, she didn't have an actual box of cigarettes, but at a glance, it naturally looked as though Kyrie had a smoking habit. Hey, thank you, Wiki Swashbuckler, for the lurk. Appreciate you popping in. Guys, go give Icky Swashbuckler a follow real quick. Oh, it helps if I do the shout-out thing first. Actually, I'm kind of curious. There we go. Yeah, go check out her channel. She is a streamer. She's been playing Dead by Daylight and also... Oh, the built-in one doesn't tell me what you were streaming most recently. Okay, I'm going to stick with the Stream Elements one then. Alright, where is that? There we go. Yeah, she's been playing Dead by Daylight. She's also been playing the Resident Evil 3 remake. So go over to her channel, give her some support, tell her I sent you. Alright, where was I? True, she didn't have an actual box of cigarettes, but at a glance it naturally looked as though Kyrie had a smoking habit. Dad smoked, but Kyrie didn't. But she did walk around with just a lighter to light Dad's cigarettes. Ha! So what? If the husband smoked, then even if the wife didn't, it wouldn't be strange for her to be holding his cigarette. Maybe she just picked up the cigarette butt of her husband, who had bad smoking manners. What are you trying to say? But what does this have to do with my magic? Nothing at all! I'll say more. This is a different brand of cigarettes than what Dad smokes. Sorry, Beato. You should look in the pockets of Dad's corpse, too. Indeed. You mean this? Checking the brand. The brand is different from the cigarette butt. The cigarette butt Kyrie is holding is not of the same brand that Rudolph smokes. And so what? Maybe Kyrie is just a good girl who likes things to be clean, so she couldn't leave a fallen cigarette butt alone and picked it up. I wouldn't, though. Beto, sorry, but one more time, please. Uncle Hideyoshi's pockets. In this family, only Dad and Hideyoshi smoke cigarettes. It's here! Is this it? Beto found a cigarette box in Hideyoshi's pocket, took a single one out, and held it up. Checking the brand, we acknowledge that the cigarette butt is of the same brand that Hideyoshi smokes. And so what? How can you break my magic because you found Hideyoshi's cigarette butt in Kirie's pocket? That's right. This cigarette butt is a message from Kirie-san. No, this cigarette butt itself is the reason Kirie-san left the guest house. Beto, thank you. If you hadn't found this, I would have given up here. Virgilia, reconstruct the situation. This guest house after it came to light after Aunt Rosa and... the guest house after it came to light that Aunt Rosa and Maria had been killed in the second twilight. Understood. Reconstructing now. After Rosa and Maria's deaths, the remaining survivors rechecked all of the doors and windows in the mansion. They constructed a barricade. They reconfirmed that their defenses were solid. There's nothing there's nothing suspicious about that at all. What are you trying to say? Why are you bringing up the second twilight when we're talking about the fourth twilight and after? Dad carried a portable cigarette butt holder with him. I'm finally starting to see why Kirie-san went out of her way to put a cigarette butt in her own pocket. It was because that cigarette butt meant something. That cigarette butt was itself a message left by Kirie-san for us. Then let's hear it. How do you plan to deny me with that single cigarette butt? As we've heard, after the second twilight, an inspection was done of all the rooms in the guest house. At that time, Kirie-san found something that shouldn't exist in a place where it shouldn't be. Something that shouldn't exist? What do you mean by that? It's this. This cigarette butt. This was set in the ashtray of the guest room that Uncle Hideyoshi was in. What? What's wrong with there being a cigarette butt in an ashtray? Are you sure there isn't something wrong with your head? Aunt Ava hated smoking. There's no way that there would be a cigarette butt in there when she was sick and sleeping. However, there was a cigarette butt in the ashtray. When she saw that, Kirie-san noticed immediately. Uncle Hideyoshi was lying. She realized that Aunt Ava hadn't really been sleeping, and that she'd snuck out of the room. Repeat it! This cigarette butt was crushed out in the ashtray of the room where Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi were resting. I refuse! I finally got it. Thank you, Beato. Was I of some use? Yeah, you were. Tear it. We'll tear the mask off of the fake witch. From that cigarette butt, Kirie realized that Hideyoshi was creating an alibi for Ava's sake. Hideyoshi had been tasked with watching over the room to create an alibi, and during that time, he was unable to withstand the tension and smoked. Then Kirie had confessed that to Rudolph. She confessed that there was a good chance Ava was the culprit, and that Hideyoshi was an accomplice. I'm curious about something. Give me a second. Okay, so it's chapter 17. Okay. This is a long chapter. Usually I'm able to fit 2 chapters into a single stream. Next, Kirie-san proposed that they go to get food. She then asked Uncle Hideyoshi to lend a hand. This could only mean one thing. Kirie-san plotted to isolate Uncle Hideyoshi and question him about the truth. Your Hempel's Raven is valid. Unless the witch's side counters this move, the existence of the magic that supposedly controlled Kirie has been denied. What did you say? I deny it. Anyway, I deny it. It wasn't me, no! It wasn't Ushiromi Ava. Ava was sleeping in her room. And try saying it. Yeah, you can't say it. You can't say it this time either. Written petition requested.
At that time, Ushiromi Eva did not take a step outside of the room.
What the hell is this? I'm the one who's attacking, right? Why am I the one being attacked now? When did offense and defense get reversed? I'm the one questioning you, right? The witch, me, so why?
Again! Repeat it! Ushiromi Eva did not leave the room! There's no way you can say it. It's checkmate! Does the witch side have a move in response?
There cannot be one. There is no truth that can be accepted from a false witch dressed up with truths and falsehoods.
You aren't qualified to call yourself a real witch. You aren't the Golden Witch. You're a human. Ushiromi Eva! The witch howled. Her entire body was burned with a tremendous heat that denied her own magic in existence, and she let out a howl like a dragon. Her body flickered repeatedly, flashing as though Ava's figure and the witch's figure overlapped. However, that yell was sucked into the flicker, making it return to the original form of the cruel witch.
Sure. If you want to call me Ushiromi Eva, then go ahead and do that. That's right. I actually can't repulse all moves related to Ushiromi Eva being the culprit. I may have been dragged down from the position of Golden Witch, and you might call me Ushiromi Eva now. But you know what? That by itself doesn't mean that witches and magic have been denied. I'll teach you starting now. I'll teach you that I'm not Ushiromi Eva nor a human, but a real witch. Take a look at this red truth. When the witch clapped her hands, time advanced in the world of the game board. Okay. Much as I hate to do it, I really need to call it here because I'm 2 hours into the stream and we've still got a little ways left to go, and I kind of want to leave some extra padding for the tea party and the question mark event next Wednesday's stream. So we're going to go ahead and call it here because I think this is a pretty good stopping point, despite not being an actual chapter break. Okay, so let me see if there's anyone online who I should like to raid. Ah, here we go. Here we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and give Paul for All Seasons a raid. And I will be back on Sunday with more Earthbound, back Wednesday with more of Umineko Episode 3. That one should definitely wrap Chapter 3 up, or Episode 3 up, so be sure to be here if you can.